I woke up in a stranger's body, my heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon, with memories that weren't mine clawing at my mind. The name Elliot Vance echoed in my skull, a character I knew too well, a cruel, jealous bully from a novel I'd read, destined to torment the protagonist and die alone. Despised. I was no longer Caleb Nguyen, a 28-year-old barista from Seattle. I was trapped in a story I couldn't escape, and I had 1 year to change my fate or face the grim ending scripted for me. The mirror in Elliot's lavish bedroom reflected a face I didn't recognize, sharp cheekbones, cold blue eyes, and a smirk that screamed arrogance. I was 24, male, and stuck in the body of a wealthy college senior at Crestwood University, a fictional elite school on the California coast. The novel, Hearts of Crestwood, was a queer romance saga I devoured last summer, and Elliot was its most loathsome side character, a spoiled rich kid who bullied the kind-hearted protagonist, Jamie Torres, out of jealousy over his charm and talent. I stumbled through Elliot's memories, sneering at Jamie in the lecture hall, spreading vicious rumors, even tripping him during a track meet. The real Elliot reveled in cruelty, but I wasn't him. I couldn't be. Yet, as I stepped onto Crestwood's sprawling campus, the weight of his reputation clung to me like damp fog. Students parted like the Red Sea, their whispers sharp with disdain. "There's Vance," one muttered. "Wonder who he'll ruin today." My first test came at noon in the lecture hall. Jamie Torres sat in the front row, his dark curls falling into his eyes as he scribbled notes. He was 22, male, with a quiet strength that made my chest ache, not with Elliot's jealousy, but with Caleb's guilt. I knew his story, a scholarship student from a working-class family, openly gay, and destined to fall in love with Ryan Carter, the charismatic track team captain. My job, as Elliot, was to make Jamie's life hell until Ryan swooped in to save him. Then, in the novel's climax, Elliot would die in a drunk driving accident, unmourned. I slid into a seat far from Jamie, my hands shaking. I couldn't do this. I wouldn't. But the world seemed to push back. A guy named Lucas, one of Elliot's cronies, leaned over. "Yo, Vance, you gonna mess with Torres today? He's been too cozy with Carter." His grin was all teeth, and I felt the story's pull, urging me to play my part. "No," I said, voice low. Lucas blinked, confused, but I turned away, focusing on the professor's drone about literature. I had to rewrite Elliot's path, starting now. But how do you undo a destiny when the world itself seems scripted against you? That evening, I wandered to the cliffs overlooking the Pacific, a place Elliot's memories marked as his escape. The wind whipped my face, and I felt alive, not as Elliot, but as Caleb, clinging to hope. Then I saw him, Jamie, sitting alone on a bench, sketching the sunset. His pencil moved with purpose, and for a moment, I forgot the novel. He was real, not just a character. I took a step toward him, heart racing, but stopped. What could I say? "Sorry for being your tormentor. I'm actually a guy from another world." I turned away, vowing to find a way to make things right. The next week was a minefield. Everywhere I went, the novel's plot tugged at me. Lucas and his crew kept pushing me to target Jamie, spilling his coffee, mocking his clothes, anything to keep the story on track. I dodged them, but it wasn't enough. Jamie's wary glances told me he expected the worst from Elliot. And why wouldn't he? I had to do something tangible, something to break the cycle. In the cafeteria, I saw my chance. Jamie was at a table, alone, his tray holding a single sandwich. A group of jocks Ryan's team had snickered nearby, and I overheard one say, "Bet Vance will trip him again." My stomach twisted. I grabbed a coffee from the counter, walked to Jamie's table, and set it down in front of him. "For you," I said, my voice unsteady. "I noticed you didn't get one." Jamie's brown eyes widened, searching my face for a trick. "What's this about, Vance?" His tone was guarded, but not hostile. "Progress. Just trying to be better," I said, then walked away before he could respond. My heart pounded, but it felt right. Small, But right, that night, I pored over Elliot's laptop, searching for anything to anchor me in this world. I found his journal bitter rants about Jamie, Ryan, and his own insecurities. Elliot wasn't just cruel. He was broken, envious of Jamie's authenticity and Ryan's confidence. I tore out the pages and started my own notes. Be kind. Avoid Lucas. Protect Jamie. It was a start, but the novel's timeline loomed. In 6 months, Elliot would crash his car. I had to change more than my actions. I had to change who Elliot was to this world. The next day, I joined the art club, knowing Jamie was a member. The room smelled of paint and charcoal, and Jamie was there, sketching a still life. I picked up a pencil, fumbling, and he glanced over. Didn't know you drew, he said, skeptical. I'm learning, I replied, offering a small smile. He didn't return it, but he didn't look away either. For the first time, I felt like I was rewriting the story, not just resisting it. Months passed, and I chipped away at Elliot's legacy. I apologized to people he'd hurt, joined community service to clean up Crestwood's beach, and avoided Lucas's toxic orbit. But the novel fought back. Ryan Carter, 23, male, and effortlessly charming, started noticing Jamie more, just as the plot demanded. Their chemistry was undeniable, shared laughs at track practice, lingering looks in the halls. I should have been happy for Jamie, but a pang of jealousy hit me, not as Elliot, but as Caleb. I liked Jamie, his quiet resilience, his passion for art. It stirred something in me I hadn't expected. One rainy afternoon, I found Jamie in the library, hunched over a book. I slid into the seat across from him. Hey, can we talk? He stiffened. What do you want? Elliot. I'm sorry, I said, the words heavy. For everything I Ellioted to you. I'm trying to change. He studied me, his expression softening but still cautious. Why now? I couldn't tell him the truth. So I said, I woke up one day and hated who I was. It wasn't a lie. Jamie nodded slowly. Okay, but trust takes time. I know, I said. I'll earn it. That conversation became our turning point. We started talking more in art club, on the cliffs, even over coffee. Jamie was witty, kind, and carried a quiet pain I recognized from my own life as Caleb, back when I struggled to come out in Seattle. But the novel's shadow lingered. Ryan asked Jamie out, and I saw them together at a campus festival, laughing under string lights. My chest tightened, but I reminded myself, this was Jamie's story, not mine. My job was to survive, not to fall in love. Then Lucas cornered me outside the dorms. You're soft, Vance. You think you can just ditch us and play nice. He shoved me, and I stumbled, the old Elliot's instincts screaming to fight back. But I didn't. I walked away, knowing every choice mattered. By spring, I'd carved out a fragile piece. Jamie and I were friends, not close, but real. He'd started opening up about his family, his dreams of being an artist, and his fears about fitting in at Crestwood. I listened, shared bits of Caleb's life disguised as Elliot's, and felt the story bending. But the novel wasn't done with me. One night, at a party I couldn't avoid, the plot struck hard. Lucas spiked my drink, and I felt the world tilt. Just like the night Elliot was supposed to die. I stumbled outside, the cool air grounding me, and saw Jamie nearby, arguing with Ryan. You don't get it, Jamie said, voice breaking. I need someone who sees me, not just the idea of me. Ryan walked off, and Jamie sank onto a bench, head in his hands. I approached, fighting the haze in my mind. You okay? I asked. He looked up, eyes red. No, but you're here. So, maybe. We talked until dawn, sitting on that bench, the party fading behind us. He told me about his breakup with Ryan, his doubts, his hopes. I told him I believed in him, that he was enough. And then, without thinking, I reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. The world felt still, like the novel had paused, just for us. But the clock was ticking. Elliot's accident was weeks away. and I couldn't shake the fear that the story would force me into that car. I started avoiding parties, checking my drinks, and researching the novel's author online, hoping for clues. Nothing. I was alone in this, except for Jamie, who was becoming my anchor. The night of the accident arrived, and I was ready. I stayed in my dorm, doors locked, keys hidden. But the novel was relentless. A text from Lucas, "Meet me at the cliffs. Jamie's in trouble." My heart stopped. It was a lie, I knew it, but what if it wasn't? I grabbed my jacket and ran. At the cliffs, Lucas was alone, smirking. "You're predictable, Vance." He lunged, trying to push me toward the edge. But I dodged, adrenaline sharp. "You're supposed to die tonight," he hissed, like he was the novel's enforcer. I fought back, not with Elliot's cruelty, but with Caleb's resolve. I knocked him down and ran, calling Jamie to warn him. I found him at the art studio, safe but shaken. "Lucas said you were hurt." I gasped, collapsing beside him. I had to make sure. Jamie's eyes softened. "You're not who I thought you were, Elliot." He leaned in, and we kissed, a desperate, beautiful moment that felt like defiance against the story itself. The novel's pull weakened, and I knew I'd broken free. In the weeks that followed, I rebuilt Elliot's life. I cut ties with Lucas, graduated, and started a scholarship fund in Jamie's name, using Elliot's wealth for good. Jamie and I grew closer, not as the novel's hero and villain, but as two people choosing each other. The accident never happened. I didn't die unloved. Looking back, I realized the novel hadn't just been about Jamie or Ryan, it was about second chances. I wasn't just cannon fodder. I was Caleb, rewriting a story that tried to erase me. And as Jamie and I stood on the cliffs, watching the sunset, I knew I'd found my place. Not in a book, but in a life I'd made my own.